Hi, 6th level. I hope you've had a good spring break and are ready for another week of learning online. Order of operations is what we're going to be talking about as it pertains to the pre-algebra book that you've been using. Please turn to chapter 1.3 on page 16. Now, we've all done orders of operations before. You're going to see that there's a lot of similarities to what we've done. If you take a look at the 4 steps of orders of operations in your book, you will see that we're still talking about PEMDAS. Who can tell me what PEMDAS stands for? Parentheses. That's what number 1 says, or means when it says evaluate expressions inside grouping symbols. That might have sounded confusing, but expressions inside grouping symbols is simply the parentheses. Do the parentheses first. Number 2 says evaluate powers. That means exponents is next. Anything that has a power to it. Number 3 says multiply and divide from left to right. Well, that is multiply and divide. Number 4 says add and subtract from left to right. So that is add and subtract. So in this book, and pretty much anything, whether it's standardized test or textbook or just a different teacher's way of explaining something, you may have things you already know, but it's told to you in a different format. Don't get so worked up about the format of how the information is given to you. If it sounds different than what you know, make sense of what the information is and apply it to what you do know. So if these 4 things look new, if you look at them closer, you'll know that you've already done it. As always, 6th level, you need to read each section of lesson 1.3 carefully. Karner Blue, I know that I have spoken with you about different groupings before, and what you will see in example 2, where it talks about grouping symbols, it mentions parentheses, it calls brackets, we've used them as nested parentheses, but brackets are another form of a parenthesis. But what we did not use was a fraction bar. The fraction bar is also considered a way to group symbols. Let's take this example. This is not in the book. I've just made it up. Here we have a fraction symbol separating 2 groups of numbers. They're grouping the denominator and the numerator. I'm going to resolve the numerator first. I will resolve the denominator second, and then I will take care of the fraction. If I look at the numerator first, I'm going to look for my order of operation, which is PEMDAS. I'm looking for parentheses. I see parentheses. I see the problem 35 minus 29. Well, if I do that, I find my answer is 6. The parenthesis has been resolved, and my answer in that is 6. The next thing I'd look for are exponents. I see an exponent. I see 6 squared. 6 squared, I know, is 36. I don't have any multiplication or division up here. I don't have any addition, but I do have subtraction. 36 minus 6 is 30. I have resolved my numerator and found that the top part is 30. My fraction sign grouped the numerator, and now I will focus on the denominator. I will start over looking for parentheses. There are no parentheses. I will look for exponents. I see 4 squared, 2 squared. 2 to the second power is 2 times 2, which is 4. I see no other multiplication or division. I do see addition. 4 plus 1 is equal to 5. Now I have a fraction of 30 over 5, or 30/5, which we all should know is an improper fraction. As an improper fraction, we can use our improper fraction technique to convert it, or we can just divide it. In a fraction, to divide a fraction, the numerator always goes under the division bar. It's how many pieces we have out of how many pieces make a whole. 5 pieces make a whole, and I have 30 pieces. So I'm going to have multiple wholes. How many? Well, we're going to find out. The numerator goes under the division bar. It's the dividend. The denominator is the divisor. Now I have the problem that looks like this. This is pretty easy if we know our math facts. The answer is 6. So the answer to this problem is 6. You will also be asked to evaluate. And an example is you have 3 times the quantity b plus 4 times b squared when b is equal to 2. All you need to do when you are given that b is equal to 2 is replace b with 2. And then you solve through order of operation. I'm looking first for parentheses, and I see them. 2 plus 4. 2 plus 4 is 6. There's nothing else to do with this parenthesis. It's just a placeholder. We're still left with the 3 times 6. I'm not going to do that yet because exponents come next. Here I have a 2 squared. 2 squared is 2 times 2, which is 4. Now I'm going to multiply left to right. I have two multiplications, 3 times 6, and that quantity times 4. 3 times 6 is 18. 18 times 4 is my last step. If I did my multiplication correctly, which I did, my answer to this problem was 72. All I did is I replaced the variable with the number it told me to, followed order of operation, and solved it. The trickiest part of these pages will probably be the story problems. I'll help you out. On page 19, number 36, part A. I'm only going to help with part A. It says you and your sister share cell phone service. You split or divide the bill equally, including the monthly fee of $39 plus 30 cents for each additional minute beyond your free minutes. That's what it says. The bill for the phone is $39 a month. You get some free minutes. Doesn't matter how many free minutes. That's not part of the problem. But you are charged 30 cents a minute for any extra minutes. If you are splitting that equally, part A says, write an expression for you to share the bill in a month where you are charged for M extra minutes. It sounds confusing, but it's really not. M extra minutes just means it's a variable amount of minutes. We don't have to put that variable amount in. It could be 10 minutes. It could be 100 minutes. What matters is that we write an expression that contains the variable M for minutes. Okay, there are two ways to do this. The first way is to look at the money as whole numbers and a decimal number, because that's what it is. We have $39 plus it's 30 cents or 0.3 per minute, and M is the extra minutes, 0.3 M. All of that is divided by what? Divided by 2, because you're sharing it with your sister. $39 plus 0.3 per minute. If it's 5 minutes, it's 0.3 times 5. If it's 10 minutes, it's 0.3 times 10. If it's 1,000 minutes, it's 0.3 times 1,000. That doesn't matter, but this is the formula. 39 plus 0.3 per minute, all of that divided by 2. That is an expression. You're not going to have a final answer. This is your answer. That is your answer. That is a formula for this scenario. But you could do it a different way. You do know that you're splitting $39. Instead of doing it this way, what if you took $39 and divided that by 2. 39 divided by 2, if you do the math, is 19.5, which really means $19.50. But as of right now, 19.5 would take care of half of $39. You're going to add to that, you're splitting this in half too. You're splitting 30 cents per minute in half. What's 30 cents in half? 15 cents. So it's plus 15 cents per minute. Or the decimal is 0.3, so 0.3 divided in half is 0.15. That's all you need to do here. You don't have to solve anything further. It's just asking you to come up with an expression. That is an expression. Either way is right. There's 2 different ways to look at it. 2 different ways to come up. 6th level, many of you will have some questions. Please take advantage of the Zoom Help with Fran this week, as she can help with questions that you may have over this work. You may also ask in Google Classroom or send a private message. These story problems will be challenging, but please do, for your assignment, beginning on page 18, exercise 1.3, guided practice 1 through 39 on page 20. Please make sure that you're reading the entire lesson before you try this. Refer back to the notes you may have taken and really try to challenge yourself. And always try. Use what you know. Make an attempt. If you get stuck, try to think about the question in a different way. Please refer to our calendar of Zoom meetings so that you can see when Zoom meetings are coming up. The schedule, the calendar, will hopefully better organize and help you see what work you have and when Zoom meetings may be, to help keep things simplified and easier to access. And we're trying to adjust as we go to make things easier. Hope you have a good week. Hope you had a good break. And hope you have fun with this lesson. Talk to you soon.